Hey everyone, welcome back. This is tip 4 of 5, and this one may be a little bit longer because we want to do a great job and take our time to really share some things that we learned that might not only resonate in your heart, but could really help you maybe save some money, avoid some heartache, and not make a few of the mistakes that we made. So we're going to try to do our best to really give you some things around the whole topic of research, right? Maybe you're the family member who is doing the research for the person who has been diagnosed with cancer and is dealing with this health situation, or maybe it's that you're the researcher and the patient all in one. No matter who you are, we want to just share with you, number one, that we feel like we have learned a ton, and a lot of it was because we made quite a few mistakes, okay? We want to try to help balance how to do good research with not being overwhelmed, and how to eventually take that research and be able to turn it into action and apply that, okay? So Caroline's done the bulk of the research. So in our situation, she was the researcher and I was the patient. I've had a high level of trust for the most part in whatever she ultimately concluded was going to be best for me. I knew she was the one investing the tens, hundreds of hours into learning about what could help me get better. Okay? So when we first started, especially in our case, we decided to be public with our journey. And you can imagine when you announced that you have cancer to all these people on Facebook, we were just being inundated with all of these, hey, have you heard about this dandelion that'll cure this? And hey, did you know that there's a clinic in Germany that has this, percentage of cure rate? And hey, did you know if you take this one pill, you can eradicate cancer in 17 minutes? And right, it was just all this stuff was coming at us. So I'm going to kind of interview Caroline as a part of this video tip here on number 4. Caroline, what is just kind of the first thing that you felt when you realized how much research you were going to have to do when we got this diagnosis, and how did you handle that?
Overwhelming. I spent hours and hours. Everybody would be in bed, and at 3, 4 in the morning, I would still be up reading and reading. And what I quickly found out, I didn't always do this well, but we did do well, I feel, at point, especially in the beginning, is I kind of thought, okay, I have all this information, but who can I actually listen to? Who actually has some kind of ability to help me differentiate between what sounds good, what is actually good? So the two things I figured out is that in the beginning, we were talking to actually a couple different friends of ours from different areas that were actual MDs, but would even in their profession, they also had recognized the importance of doing alternative things to help the body. So they were great people to bounce some ideas off of. And then I also realized that one of the greatest teachers is experience. So we started finding out, okay, who of our friends have actually gone through cancer and are doing well today. And so that was kind of how we started everything, and how honestly that's really how we even were led to the CHPSA hospital. Was we had actually met with a couple different people. There was CHPSA had a lot of previous history already. And then one of our friends, who was he's a medical surgeon, had gotten to meet one of the administrators and spoken with them. And he told us, hey, if you're thinking about going alternative, or at least doing some alternative treatments, you might want to look into this hospital. So obviously he had a lot of credibility, because not only was he an MD, a surgeon, he had also overcome colon cancer and had done a lot of alternative things himself. So that kind of was dual, medical professional, and he was a cancer survivor himself of 5 years, and he's obviously still a survivor. So we used kind of those filters to be able to kind of break through the massive amount of information that I was reading at that time.
Yeah, and I think to her point there, I don't know that we could have we could sit here and say that we fully realized this in the beginning, other than I think we did understand it on some level, but I know we grasp this today. There is no right exact way. There is no one exact path. And without us diving into any details on this particular video, I mean, we made mistakes that cost us at least at minimum $50,000, $60,000 that if we knew what we knew now, okay, or if we had been able to recognize the red flags, we could have saved that money. Here's the cool thing though, I still made it. We still did it. I hope you don't have a $50,000 or $60,000 mistake, but even if you do, that doesn't mean you can't still heal, right? We probably ended up spending way more time with some of the wrong people, listening to them about all these, cures and what they thought was going to all of a sudden zap me and get rid of the cancer. And I think that's an important topic here. So let's dive into that real quick on the research. Like, what about all these things that pop up on our news feeds? Or what about all the clinics who are promoting a certain percentage of how many people they're supposedly curing? Like, what did we learn about that, Caroline, that could be valuable to someone else?
Right, so there's obviously statistics are good. If there's actual people and cases behind it. So what we have learned is that when people are throwing some high numbers of, hey, we are 50%, 75, 90% effective, that should automatically be red flags. Because even the conventional side does not do that. So we have to be reminded that even though you would think that everyone would have a good heart and wants to do the best for everyone, there are still people that are interested in the money side of things. So people that make very specific claims, anytime someone says, this is the cure, you come here, you're here for X number of days or weeks and you will leave cured, those are huge red flags, because not only in the United States is it illegal to make those statements, but second is, that's just not the reality of things right now. Another way to do things is that, believe it or not, there are almost in the thousands of articles on PubMed and different medical journals that talk about alternative therapies and treatments. For example, PubMed has articles on vitamin C infusions through IV, high dose vitamin C. There are articles in PubMed that talk about the effectiveness of vitamin C. It's just what it'll say is it has not been FDA approved to be used in the United States for conventional treatment. So there is even a lot of things that you can go, okay, I've heard about this, and then you can research and see what some of the research is coming out of on the conventional side, because those things are being researched. It's just that the money wasn't there to keep the research going. But you can easily see on the small scale of research of what it can do. So like vitamin C is a very known across for all kinds of benefits. So therefore it's easy to go to PubMed and go, wow, even PubMed, the conventional side of medicine, agrees on its benefits. So that's something I also learned is that when people are toting around these big, whether it's big percentages or cure-alls or this will fix this, is you can go and research more past it and see what other articles have to say about it, see what other journals, other reports are saying about that same thing that this one site or this one person is claiming.
I think maybe the biggest tip of all when it comes to research is that the research needs to lead to action. And it's funny because if you'll stay tuned on tip 5, I'm going to talk about transitioning into taking action. If you just do research all day long and you can't ever get yourself to actually take any action, or you're so afraid of making a mistake, or you get into analysis paralysis, well, at some point, the person who is ill may not be with us anymore. It would be better to take action, and then later you may say, well, I wish I hadn't done that. I understand. People ask me all the time, what would you do different, Ryan? Do you have any regrets? And I look at them and I go, nothing. Absolutely nothing, right? I'm alive. I'm well. I'm healthy. The cancer's gone. How could I have any regrets? I mean, of course, if I, literally, if there was an opportunity to like travel back in time and replay the whole deal, but have all the wisdom that we've got now, of course we would do it different. But what I'm saying is that the sooner you can embrace and look at the research as not something that's overwhelming, and look at it more from, I'm so grateful that the research is out there for me to view easily on the internet. How much different would we all handle the research if we looked at it from a perspective of gratitude versus complaining about how overwhelmed we are, right? Figure out your filters, figure out who you're going to listen to, okay? And then take action from there.
Yeah, I had one more final thought, and that is one of the things that someone can easily do is kind of decide, okay, what is the common denominator? What keeps coming up? If someone's telling you take magnesium and you keep hearing that over and over again, then it might be something you really need to consider. And also find out who your friends or people that you can actually verify who they are that said, hey, I did use that and that helped me. So find the common denominators and find people that went that route and actually find out how they believe it worked for them. I think that is very valuable to, because the more you're hearing it, then hopefully that would mean that it's something that could be very beneficial.
Yeah, and one of the things I also remember learning from all the research she's done is, as she looks back on my journey, it appears that from all of her research, the things that helped me the most have been around for a while. Yes. It wasn't the new fancy drug. It wasn't the new thing that someone just invented. I mean, it was things like vitamin C and B17 Laetrile and, turmeric. I mean, just things that they've been used by many, many people long before me to help their body heal. The last thought that I have around research is knowing how to handle the people who we are listening to. And I have two thoughts on that before we go. Number one, I can think of someone that some people consider too direct. This person just tells it like it is. And some people seem to not be able to handle listening to them very much. The truth is, though, is that we dug in deep, and this person happened to know a lot about what they're talking about. Look, set your ego aside. Set your offense aside. Figure out whether or not a person actually has real knowledge that could help you get better. And who cares if they say a cuss word or you don't like their delivery, right? You want to live, don't you? The second thing is how are family members and friends approaching you with their research? The way we handle our family and friends is that if you want to suggest something in a respectful manner with love, or you want to share something in a kind way of something you found that you think we ought to consider, we will absolutely be open to it. But the minute people start attacking you or calling you names or thinking that somehow they've got it all figured out and you don't, you are automatically going to shut down as a human being when people talk to you and treat you that way. So just softly, respectfully, and kindly remind all your friends and all your family, say, look, I know you might be scared. I can be scared too. I know you love me, right? But just try to remember that as you suggest options to me, please do it in a respectful manner, and understand that if I choose to do something different, it's not because I don't love you. It's not because I don't think you're not smart. It's not because of anything other than I can only do so many things, and at the end of the day, I've got to make decisions as a grown adult that I believe is best for me and my health. All right? Anything else you'd like to say, Caroline?
I think we covered it all.
So stay tuned, folks, for tip number 5, and just 5 things we feel like we did and things that we want to share with you that can help someone who is dealing with a new diagnosis of cancer or just a healing issue in their family or in their own life. We'll see you next time.